Okay, hello everybody. This is a topper with the podcast Primary Market. It's our first episode, and today we have an incredible guest. We have a sculptor and furniture designer and all-around great artist, great guy, Doug McCollough. Hello, Doug.
My man.
Yo, what's up?
What's up?
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about a lot of your artistic journey, your artistic references, and ultimately the art market and kind of your perspective on where you exist in this market and what that market is to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to just kind of start off with a little bit about how you got involved in the arts and
Sure.
and whatnot. Just ramble.
Yeah, and this will like my sort of history with all this stuff will is kind of interesting relative to what I'm learning about the art market. But I've been a furniture maker since I started learning furniture making when I was like 24 or something like that. And prior to that, I didn't really know how to use tools. I think most guys who've gotten into this line of work came to it more naturally because like their dad had tools or their uncle was a carpenter,
Mm-hmm.
and like they kind of received that knowledge at an early age through like the men in their life. It's obviously usually men.
Yeah, have you ever seen the meme that I can actually relate to? It's "You can't hurt me because I brought my dad the wrong tools as a kid."
I don't understand what that means.
So basically,
I have to think
the
about
meme
that.
is like your dad would yell at you for bringing the wrong screwdriver. Or
Yeah,
something.
right. My
You didn't have
dad literally doesn't know how to use, I mean, maybe he knows how to use a screwdriver, but like he doesn't own one.
Oh, whoa!
Yeah, my dad is
Whoa.
like, and it's funny because he's like this super like alpha male.
Mhm.
He's very much like a dude.
Yeah.
In certain ways, like he can fight, he can make that money.
Damn.
He's like he's really intelligent, and but he's helpless with tools.
Wow.
And it's like that. It's like his the chink in his armor. It's
Wow.
like that one thing that he's missing. And I don't have a close relationship with him, but obviously from like like the classic kind of Freudian perspective, I picked the one thing that he couldn't do to both as a fuck you to the old man,
Whoa.
but also as like a way for it to like distinguish myself and like have him be impressed by me. Or
Wow.
something. Yeah.
Well, I hope it worked.
The jury's out.
Yo.
The jury's out.
Okay, so you started kind of doing some woodworking. That's
Yeah.
incredible to understand, like
Yeah.
the origins of this.
Yeah, it was. I got into it randomly. So I was a primary school teacher in New York City.
What's primary school like?
Primary school is like
Like
kindergarten
lower school?
through third grade.
Oh,
Yeah,
whoa.
yeah, that's what I was doing after college. And
And you went to UVA, a great freaking school.
great fucking school.
It is.
No, it is. Sorry, do you have to bleep out curses? Or
No,
Okay.
no, we're a raw dog. Raw dog in the butt on a primary market
Wow.
podcast.
Primary. Okay. Yeah. And so the principal at my school, who's the man who hired me, he was like a mentor to me, great man. But the board of the school,
So it was a private school.
no, it was a charter school.
Charter school.
So a charter school is publicly funded and privately funded. It's
Wow.
some sort of mix, 50-50 or whatever.
Someone getting rich off of it? Or?
No, nobody. That's a good question. I'm sure there's some sort of like back channeling and
Yeah.
siphoning of funds from children. Like give them less milk for breakfast.
Yeah, exactly. I'll sell you some turf fields, baby.
You want to take a commercial?
Sorry, I can't stop. The hustle doesn't stop.
No, I appreciate it. And so anyway, they sort of felt like they couldn't control him. He wasn't like a yes man, so they edged him out of there. And I was like, if this man's not going to be here, I don't want to be here.
Wow.
And
Was
you
that
know,
extreme?
yeah. He meant a lot to me. And so to that point, I'd been in school my whole life, either as a student or as a teacher. And I was like kind of ready for something different. Also, like the idea of being like a man, like teaching like first grade. It's not like the most like manly thing, and even though I loved it, there was an insecurity there of like. I mean, I thought my job was awesome. You know, like I would come home every day at the end of the day and just have crazy stories because kids are fucking crazy.
They say the darndest things.
They say the darndest things. They do crazy shit. They're funny as hell. It's like I would come home every day with like 5 stories.
Especially little New Yorkers.
Yeah, exactly. It was a really diverse school. It was, there was one white kid. So it was, but it was.
What neighborhood was it?
Lower East Side.
Oh, wow.
But it was black kids, Asian kids, Latino kids.
Were you living on the LES?
Lots of mixed race kids, obviously. I was living in the East Village.
So wait, what era was this? Like, we might
We're
have
talking. I graduated in 05.
Yeah.
So and then I moved straight to New York, and then I was there till like.
Dude, I was on 6th.
I was there for like 6 years.
In that era. 6th Street and First Avenue in that era. So we were homies. We were neighbors.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Did we ever hang out?
That was later. That was around 2010.
Yeah, So yeah, I'm leaving school. Or I'm leaving my job as a teacher, and a friend of mine, Rob Pluhowski, shout out to Rob, he was a professional skateboarder, and he was retiring from that just because he was kind of aging out of it as an athlete. And he told me that he was taking this woodworking class at the Center for Furniture Craftsmanship.
Professional skateboarder.
Yeah.
That's
Big
so cool.
skateboarder. You walk, like even in LA, like if I'm with skateboarders, sometimes they're talking about like 90s, early 2000s skating, and I'll be like, buddies with Rob Pluhowski. They're like, oh, wow. Like, do you know who Chad Muska is?
Yeah, the Muska. I follow him.
The Muska, yeah. He's like a character in the.
He dated Paris Hilton.
Yeah, exactly. He's a character in like the PlayStation skating games. Yep. He's like one of the most famous skaters, and I brought up Rob to Chad, and he was like, there was a lot of respect.
So he's
there.
nasty.
He's sick with it, and he's got 2 daughters.
Can you ollie?
Can I ollie?
Yeah.
I cannot even keep my balance on a skateboard for 5 seconds.
You gotta be able to learn to ollie at least.
I'm 43.
I know.
I'm breaking my ass. Unless I was doing it on velvet lawn. In which case it would like
take my shoes off now.
Okay.
It's lovely.
Yeah,
church.
it is kind of like getting a beer and like let's like
No, exactly.
like I feel like I'm outside.
Uh-huh.
How does spread eagle play on these things?
Yo, I'm always man spreading. If you're not man spreading,
You're not a man.
you're not living.
I'll use my knee to cover my formidable bulge.
Let it fly.
Okay. So Rob's retiring from skating, getting into carpentry. He grew up kind of known, one of these guys with a bunch of men in his family who are handy. And so he's taking this woodworking class because he wanted to like really lean into it and become a professional. So it's this place in Rockport, Maine called the Center for Furniture Craftsmanship. It's a great school. And shout out Tim Rousseau, my first woodworking teacher.
Wow.
And he's telling me about it, and it was fascinating. It was romantic to me. It was exotic to me, this idea of woodworking. I think a lot of people who don't do woodworking kind of imagine it as like this soulful, pursuit of like, and
hammering a chisel, like to me, like is putting your heart and soul like into eternity.
These are exactly the cliches that you hear from people who don't really know how to do it.
Wow, fucking A.
Well, and like, no, it's not. It's obviously really rewarding because people wouldn't do it otherwise because you don't really make great money doing it. Although Rob is one of the few, Rob Pluhowski is one of the few guys in my kind of cohort who has really made a great business for himself, and he's putting 2 daughters through college, and and obviously that there's a lot of support from his wife. I'm not sure if she has a separate job, but I know she definitely supports him in terms of some of the admin stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it takes, that's a huge benefit to him. And Kara is a reason for his success as well. But anyway, went up there. The course was divided into it's a 3-month course. So I was up in Maine for 3 months. And the first month was what's called carcass construction. Carcass refers to like casework, anything with doors and drawers. I'm sorry, that was month 2. Month 1 was build a bench using a mortise and tenon and dovetails.
Wow.
Right.
So no glue or nails.
No. You do glue. No nails, no screws, no hardware.
Wow.
It's all wood on wood, but you do use glue, just because it exists, and why not? Like it makes these joints, 20 times as strong, more. Like it's there. There's no reason not to use glue. People have been using glue for centuries. For a while, they were making it out of horses.
Still, right?
I'm not really up on modern glue production. Excuse me, but so adhesives have been around forever. It was like probably in like the ancient times, it was like sap from trees and stuff like that. Wow. So it's just like, if they had it back then, they'd be using it back then.
Right.
The only reason you wouldn't use an adhesive is if you wanted it to be able to take it apart, like in old school Japanese architecture and timber framing. It's all all those components, all those posts and beams are interlocking in a way where they can be taken apart if need be. I think it also makes them a little bit flexible in the event of an earthquake. Japan's very earthquake prone.
I've seen some of the chiseling around like a stone.
Yeah,
it just like fits perfectly on that stone. It's like some of the most remarkable stuff I've ever seen.
It truly is. I mean, the Japanese stuff is just there's nothing better than it. That's for sure. Like I went to Kyoto with my folks like 5 years ago or something, and Kyoto's known for its riches of temples. And these fucking things are the most impressive things you ever see in your life. Like, they are, from like the, 16th century. I'm embarrassed that I don't know. I didn't really learn much because I was just awestruck by these things. And I was
Excuses.
Well, I'm kind of keying in on like how they're made. I'm not really like reading. Like when I go to museums, like art museums or something, I generally don't read anything.
Oh, wow.
I just try to have like an art experience. Because I find that like the turning on the rational brain and trying to learn about the painting kind of interrupts like just taking it in.
Well, that's the mind and heart of an artist, and I want to definitely delve into that in a bit.
Yeah, let's do it.
So as you started, learning and kind of, you picked up to it and stuck with it. That was a long time ago. So what about it, really, ignited something within you? And then I want to talk about your inspirations and how you found your voice.
Yeah, so I didn't really necessarily take naturally to the building part of it. I was like, I think I just wasn't in my blood. I'm not a natural. But I wanted to become.
Yeah.
You know what I wanted to become? I wanted to become one of those guys. You see like those.
Aiden from Sex and the City.
God, I can't tell you how often chicks bring like Aiden to me. I'm just like I'm a Mr. Big Guy.
Yeah, amen.
But where am I going with that? I wanted to be like one of those guys, like who, you're talking about like the chisel and the soul, like I had that fantasy too, and then I started like being around these guys. I'm like, I want to kind of just like be that guy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like it's funny what drives you.
Mm-hmm.
It was like I wanted to kind of like build a sense of self around it.
That's fucking dope.
And what did come naturally to me was just like I was naturally interested in researching furniture and naturally interested in kind of trying to design it.
Wow.
And I've always loved drawing. I love just like sitting down and drawing. So I did have that piece, which I think has really served me well because a lot of people who are in woodworking don't have that piece.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have the skills, they have like the knowledge base around tools and I've actually, I mean, I try to spend as much time around those guys as possible because I just absorb, again, like that's the part that hasn't come
the
naturally.
utilitarian part.
Yeah, exactly. And now I'm like pretty good at it, but it's like, yeah, I've just always tried to surround myself with guys who are more experienced.
So as you started going down that path, though, like what, back to how did you find your voice? What sort of work were you gravitating towards, or furniture, and why was it ringing your bells?
Yeah, so when you go to a place like the Center for Furniture Craftsmanship, you get sort of steeped in what's called studio furniture making, which is started in earnest in the United States in like the, some would say like God, it's hard to date it, but like there's something called the American studio craft movement that began, I would say, in the 70s. And it's guys like George Nakashima, Sam Maloof, Wharton Escherich, Wendell Castle. These guys are all dead now. So that's what, and they're more in there too. And it extends beyond woodworking into like, other crafts as well.
Some sculpture.
Yeah, but a lot of like all these people were kind of related to each other, like related to textile artists, ceramic artists, they're all kind of, I believe, like talking to a degree, but the historians kind of silo people and say, so that, they're and they have their interests in furniture, so they say it's the first wave of American studio furniture making is like this cohort of guys who like kind of started making mature work in the 70s. And
wow.
And then there's this, and so those are the people you're exposed to kind of first in a place like the Center for Furniture.
Wow, so they don't even start you like, in the caveman days, or start you like in the 1700s or something.
Well, like I was saying, month one is building like that bench with mortise. A mortise and tenon is basically like it's the most basic,
like
or
one of the most basic
joints, where it's like you cut. A mortise is like a hole. You cut like a hole into one piece of wood, and a tenon is like
a cone almost.
It's like, I think tenon in some language means tongue. So it's almost like you cut away a piece of you cut away kind of like the perimeter of the end of a board, so that you've created like a tongue that it's all, and it almost fits into the slot, and then like that is that goes back to your point to probably medieval times or something. It's like the first joint, or one of the first joints. So you are going back beyond the 70s, but like the school kind of comes out of like a tradition of fine woodworking, which is the name of a magazine that still exists, but was super kind of at its heyday back in the 70s and 80s and 90s. Anyway, you're asking like what inspired me. I think, kind of going back to the Japanese stuff, George Nakashima, he was a Japanese American. He's an architect by training, but he taught himself furniture making.
He's got a museum in Long Island City, right?
That's Noguchi.
Noguchi?
Yeah.
Oh, so I don't know
Noguchi. You're going to be dropping that. You say Gucci already like 5 times.
Well, my chef name is Gucci Luciani.
Yeah, well, now your artist name is going to be like Noguchi Luciani.
Oh, not no.
Oh shit. So anyway, this is a guy. He sort of is the person. I mean, now this stuff has been popularized and bastardized and become like there's so many junky versions of it that you can buy at like kind of the big boxy kind of furniture stores.
Yeah.
But he started that whole live edge thing, where it's like a piece of wood where you keep the natural edge of the tree. It's a vibe. He did it first, as far as I know. Probably someone was doing it before him, but
someone back in the day in Japan.
Yeah, well, exactly. And so, the first table was probably like fucking
exactly.
Like he didn't invent it, but he kind of did it in this way that was super elegant and sophisticated and sculptural, yes, but still very much functioning furniture. And like he utilized a lot of the Japanese joinery, but sort of made it feel like this perfect blend of modern and like traditional Japanese, but it was still at the same time very much American. And he was just like one of the first heavy hitters. And his stuff, you can a George Nakashima desk sold at a place like Gallery Half, which we should go to sometime on Melrose in Los Angeles, might go for 80 grand.
Wow.
And his stuff's amazing. He was really prolific. His daughter Mira still runs the studio, but not to get too in the weeds. But he was like a first inspiration for me. And then my interests just like broadened. Like this stuff was starting to be on the internet, and it was. This is pre-Instagram, So I'm not now. I look at a lot of
Tumblr.
Stuff. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I was just into everything. Then I got into kind of French modernism, designers like Jean Prouvé, and it's just completely different from George Nakashima.
Right. So what led to that? Just looking at, ingesting,
Well, I think I was at that woodworking school in Maine during the winter, and like a lot of dark hours during a Maine winter, right? So whenever I wasn't, and nothing to do. So when I wasn't in the wood shop, I was going back to this little Airbnb I was staying in, and just on the computer, like
wow,
blah, 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 blah,
right?
Like just looking at everything. And it's funny because I've been into looking at this stuff now for about 16 years, and it's like you have like this journey where like stuff I thought was like terrible when I was younger, I now love.
Wow.
Some of my favorite
So
stuff.
what would be an example of that, and how your taste evolved?
Yeah, Gary Knox Bennett is part of what became known as the second wave of American studio furniture. So that's that gets going in the 90s up until into the 2000s, I guess. I don't know if there's considered to be a third wave. I think there was a second wave, a first wave, a second wave, and then I think that was kind of it for that kind of genre of furniture making. But he's a 90s guy. There's a lot of like weird shit going on in the 90s. A lot of these studio guys were making furniture that had like a sense of humor in it, like a wink, and it was a little bit cheesy. I'd say most of it's kind of cheesy. Like here's one example of it, and you can see this chair at the Yale Furniture Archive, and probably other places too. But this is the one I saw, and it's in a lot of the studio furniture books. But it's this chair called Oops. Okay. That's like what the artist titled it. What's the guy's name who did it? It's escaping me now, but it's. Do you know what a claw and ball is?
Yes.
Yeah. So like it can be on a table or a chair, and it looks like the talon of an eagle gripping a ball, and that's the foot of the chair or table. And then it's associated with sort of Queen Anne furniture, I think, and Biedermeier furniture, maybe more so. But anyway, super traditional looking, right? Very highly crafted. Got to be an expert to do that kind of stuff. And it's just like there are millions of these pieces of furniture out there, or at least hundreds of thousands. And he did his kind of joke. Well, it's a chair, and the front legs are claw and ball. But he did it so he took the ball. He removed the ball from the claw, and he put it like next to the chair, and then the talon is kind of reaching out to kind of grab it, almost like it lost it. And
That's a vibe.
It's funny, and it's like, but it's a little, some people roll their eyes, some people like it. I was sort of, whatever. Like, and that's not really an example of something I hated and now love, but that's very like, that's just a piece that's kind of indicative of the spirit of a lot of people who are working in the 90s, 80s and 90s. But a guy whose furniture I hated just because it was just like almost willfully ugly was this guy, Gary Knox Bennett. And as I, spent so many years like considering what like beautiful furniture is, I think I finally started to realize that he was sort of embracing ugly on purpose, almost in like a kind of a punk rock way, or like kind of like scoffing at like all
Is
these
this
people.
the 80s, like same era as Memphis?
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring up Memphis. That's super related because Memphis was a sort of similar like rejection of good taste. And so that's a super astute question because this guy, who knew? Fucking turf salesman over here. Drop that.
We do.
Okay, so where are we at? Yeah, no. So Memphis is it's called Memphis, but it actually comes out of Italy. I forget why it's named Memphis, but and it was like just this just gaudy, bad taste. But when they did it well, it was like it was awesome. But I also hated Memphis, and like these these sort of these guys who are playing with like ugly kind of make you like question your values around like beauty in a way that I find very helpful. And I was fortunate enough to meet Gary Knox Bennett before he passed away 2 years ago, and talk to him about well, just meet him. You know,
Yeah.
he was just a
That's dope.
6'7" bear
Damn.
man, looks like a lumberjack. But he, you know, and he's gruff and he swears like a sailor, but you know, also a teddy bear and just a wonderful, wonderful craftsman.
And
But
he contributed to this
absolutely
world enormously.
Yeah, he's pretty divisive, which I think he's happy to
Yeah.
you know be that because it's and not because he just you know gets people talking about me. He's not like that. He's just like he's as an artist, he's using furniture as his medium to explore, and he's not like just like trying to make beauty all the time. I think there's sort of a narcissism to wanting or an insecurity to just kind of always wanting to be like the source of some kind of beauty. And it's kind of boring too. Like, why not fuck around, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
Riff, play jazz, if you will.
yeah.
So, so how do you think, like, so as you started to find your voice and you started to kind of make some work, how would you describe, like, the evolution of your work from, you know, learning craftsman, 16 years ago,
Yeah.
to today, craftsman and artist?
Yeah. Very slow, natural evolution and very gradual. There was never, I mean, it definitely was just like a straight up furniture maker in the beginning. I was trying to be creative, but there wasn't necessarily like, I wasn't thinking of it in terms of art. And even when I started making furniture that like was becoming more arty, I think unbeknownst to me, like certain like artists in my life were kind of like interpreting it as art. And then once they started saying that to me, I was like, oh, huh.
Wow.
Yeah, like I see like the types of things I'm doing have more of like like all of these different furniture movements that I've been interested in were sort of like coalescing into something that was kind of like a bit unique, I think. And that work, the first time I did that was under the name LA Door, which was a collaboration I did with my partner at the time,
So what era is this? Okay, so
Katie Payne.
sorry.
No.
What? So really, up until relatively recently, you were considering yourself just a craftsman or furniture maker,
Yeah.
and then kind of you saw kind of an opportunity where you had a perspective or point of view. That decade of work essentially allowed you to kind of create a perspective or kind of start to see yourself as an artist. And so that brings us to LA Door era. So
But that's just to your point real quick. It's like, that there's that thing of like 10,000 hours.
Yes.
I don't know what that, I don't know how that translates to years, but I kind of felt that like at like the 10-year mark, I felt like, okay, now I'm ready to like, well, yeah, to exactly, to hopefully contribute something to this field, right? But yeah, so like the 10-year mark kind of felt like a beginning point for me.
Okay, so light it up. Let's hear the story.
No. That's just, I mean,
so back to LA Door.
Story?
Back to LA Door, and
LA Door marks the
partner was Katie
Payne. Yeah,
Katie Payne.
Katie
Shout
Payne.
out.
She's amazing. So I met her when I was starting to get kind of like bored with my own shit.
Mm.
You know, working alone.
Yep. What were you making?
I was making at the time. I was
Making bacon.
I was
With cake.
super helpful addition to the conversation. Thanks, Tom. I love you. I mean, the work I was making was, you know, I was into it, and people were into it, and I was selling it, and I'm proud of it still. But I was just starting to get like a little bit
So it was
on
like
the
one
treadmill with
dimensional.
it. No, it wasn't. Like it was. I did, in my mind, it was good work, and I can look back on it, and I still like it,
Mm.
and.
How would you describe to the listeners or viewers what it was like?
Yeah, totally. So prior to that, I was basically only working in wood, and I was starting to get a little like bored with wood in terms of like just like the look and feel of it. And I kind of discovered linoleum, which is usually sold as a flooring. It's different than laminate and different from vinyl. So vinyl is like kind of a plasticky feel. Laminate is this very like thin, plasticky material that when you bend it, it just snaps. Linoleum is called linoleum because it's made from linseed oil and wood pulp. They say it's a green material. I don't know.
I doubt it.
See all that shit
from the 70s.
I mean, this shit
It's green. Fight me on it.
It's toxic, y'all. You can cut that out.
No, it's not toxic. But whatever. You know.
Oh shit! Sorry, you cut that out. Cut that out. No, it feels amazing. Whatever it is, it feels amazing. What's this one called?
That one is fresh cut.
Fresh cut. Feels fresh.
No, we're not cutting
Smells
anything, baby. I'm a believer.
No, actually, you know what? There's turf everywhere in this room, and my face is right next to this, and there's no smell to it.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Which is, I feel like, a really good sign. Like normally, when you're around products like this, there's like a smell to it.
Yeah, totally.
You're like, whoa. Like it's
Off-gassing.
like it's still off gassing. Exactly. That's like literally
No, it's the good stuff.
does
baby.
not smell like anything.
Thank you for the
Yeah.
promo.
Yeah, bro. Where were we?
Oh, so
Katie Payne.
yeah, like what you were making.
Oh yeah, okay. So I was getting a little bored with what I was making. So I discovered linoleum, and it's this amazing material that comes in like it's designed. The brand I would get was called Forbo. It's designed manufactured in Sweden, and it comes in this huge array of colors that are like unusual colors. It's not like red, blue, green. I mean, they do have that, but they have all these other wild colors and patterns. Like I don't know who's designing this shit, but it's really cool. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to start using that on my furniture as like tabletop surfaces and on case pieces and even on like chairs and stuff. And I began combining linoleum with plywood and like beautiful hardwoods. And I would make these like tables and chairs and bookcases and stuff. And but I'd make it like very kind of meticulously and polish it up real nice so that it was like these three materials that were working in concert with another, where like they were contrasting each other. There's a little bit of Memphis in there, to your point, but also some others.
I know the references.
Yeah. That like those poppy colors.
Yeah.
That was new for me. It was also like a way into color for me because I don't really always have a strong sense for color. Like I wear like kind of muted shit, but like linoleum, like these people designing it were like just making all these design decisions for me in terms of the colors and patterns, and I could just kind of pick and choose what I like. And there's almost like no bad choices. Like this stuff is so good looking and appealing, and so I kind of like became like a little bit in like this very like niche way, like kind of like known for it, like
Wow.
in LA.
Yeah.
And then I started putting out on Instagram, and this stuff photographs very well.
It
So
does.
like
I remember.
it's just all off my Instagram now because I see it as like it's like an earlier body of work, but it's not what I'm trying to do now, so I'm not trying to promote it. But I do like I look at
Yeah,
it.
like the beds you were making were so dope.
Thanks, bro.
He
said
I always
not
wanted
me.
one.
Can't afford that.
I can't afford it. I gotta keep selling turkey.
So it got me like a little bit of like a local profile, and like that was really cool. But I was doing it for a few years and was starting to get like a little bit bored with it. And that's when I met Katie, who is at the time she was directing Billings Auctions a modern design auction house here in LA. And her background was in early American decorative arts. She got a master's degree from Sotheby's in that. And I always kind of ignored that furniture. That was like, of all the, I liked all these different types of furniture, but that was like one area that I was sort of like, that's like grandma shit.
Feels stuffy, or
stuffy.
like just. I love Antiques Roadshow. I love the Kino brothers or something.
Oh my
like
God,
that.
Lee Kino.
Yeah, wasn't there another brother or something?
Yeah, he's got a brother who doesn't have as much of a profile, but Lee's the fucking man. And I've DM'd with him, which is just like
shout out Lee
Kino. I could die now. I sent him a DM. I just figured he'd never respond, and he responded, and I was like, what? Like a hero moment. I mean,
word.
These are like the weirdos who are my furniture heroes. Follow Lee Kino on Instagram if you want it. He does great. He's a director of an auction house. I forget which one. I think he's worked all over the field, but he's so knowledgeable, and he just looks at antiques and he like explains like what makes them good, what makes them interesting, and he's you follow him,
an inspiration, of course. Well, because I used to, as a kid, watch Antiques Roadshow in the middle of the night when I couldn't go to sleep.
Really?
Flipping through VH1 and then MTV, then Antiques Roadshow. It's like two blonde brothers, talking about 1700s furniture.
Yeah.
Chippendale.
Chippendale.
Okay, so
amazing name for a strip club,
right?
For a male strip club.
So so Katie opened your eyes to this.
Yeah, to this stuff. So then we started blending like her background in early American.
So you start dating. Yeah, you're like, yo, we got let's kind of collab. Instead of making a baby, let's make some furniture.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think the first thing we did was and I think what really she turned me on to this design book called The Daydream Houses of Los Angeles. And the author coins this phrase "LA door" in this book. It's a great book. It's written by Charles Jenks. He's this English architect, super heady and theoretical. He's gay. He's really funny, and he writes these texts that I can't read most of his work. It's just super theoretical and academic. But he wrote this one book called The Daydream Houses of Los Angeles, and it's thin, and it's basically there's a beautiful introduction, and then it's all just pictures and captions, and the captions are fucking hilarious. And the vibe of the book is he's driving around what's called Boys Town in LA, which I think it was written probably in the 90s. Boys Town would be gay West Hollywood.
Okay. So still
what?
Exists.
I don't know if people are calling it Boys Town anymore. It's possible that the identity of the neighborhood's been diluted. I don't know much about that, but the vibe is he's driving around with his friends in a convertible through Boys Town, looking at houses that are. LA is just replete with these Adobe square homes.
Yeah.
That are really boring, but a lot of people will trick them out. And you get the sense that in his book, you sort of get the sense that maybe this was some gay couple that just got back from a vacation in Tuscany, and they're like, yo, let's make this Adobe house look like a Tuscan villa, and they'll hire some contractor who he's yeah, I know where to get that shit.
Yeah.
and it's this weird collab between some contractor who doesn't know anything about proper design history, and this couple that just got back from Tuscany that also doesn't, but they're so inspired.
So they need a mural or something.
Or just adorning the cube of the house with architectural flourishes that remind them of their trip in Tuscany.
Vines? Or grapevines?
Yeah, grapevines, columns.
That's
fake columns that they just kind of nail onto the facade of their house around the door to make the entrance look grander than it is, and that's what this author calls an LA door.
Wow.
Fake, ostentatious door that's probably the style of the columns are ionic, or and it actually is out of period with the molding that they put around.
Right.
Not Ionian. I forget.
I wouldn't know.
But exactly, and that's the beauty of it. It's sort of we'll talk more about amateurism, I'm sure, in this conversation. Mm-hmm. But these are amateurs just doing shit that makes them happy, and they're pulling from history
Mm.
in a way that's like untutored, in a way where they're not experts, and it yields these results that are just like new and fanciful and strange and wrong.
Yeah.
But fun and weird, and so this book, he's just driving. This is a guy who is the most expert architect, and he's looking at this stuff, and he's just like laughing, but not laughing in a way that he's mocking or condescending, but laughing in this way where it's like this stuff should make us happy.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's making the owner happy.
Uh-huh.
They're like they have this box of a house, and they're like, let's trick it out.
Yeah, it's dope. And so I also want to get into how LA inspires you as an artist. But first, let's talk about then what happens next. You start collabing with Katie, because some of those works that I remember from your Instagram, were really, really cool. So I want to understand where you came from. Talk to us about that.
So the way that nothing's preconceived. It all kind of happens naturally. And then when you look back on it, you see themes that were there, but you weren't necessarily trying to come up with them.
Wow.
So what Katie and I were doing was we were kind of identifying these sort of classic, iconic American furniture forms.
The Lazy Boy.
The Lazy Boy. Possibly one of the most important.
Archie Bunker.
Any fucking book that claims to be, an exhaustive history of American furniture design should have a fucking chapter on the Lazy Boy.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's probably sold better than any other piece of furniture. There are a lot of knockoffs that suck, but the real shit it's an amazing product.
For a reason, yeah.
But anyway, Lazy Boy, the corner cabinet, it's sort of an extinct piece of furniture that nobody produces anymore, but they're great. They can either sit on the floor and be 6 feet tall, or the ones that we were making were, just about this tall, and you would hang them in a corner at about eye level, and we love those. Blanket chests, another sort of extinct. Kind of piece of furniture. I think you saw the one I made in curly maple.
Unbelievable. It's kind of like a wedding hope chest.
I don't know what that is.
So basically, so back in the day, when a girl was going to be betrothed, she would put all
given away.
Yeah, she would start putting all of her household things into this chest, hoping for a husband and that sort of thing. Yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah, some shit.
No, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
And I think blankets would go in there. And,
what did you call it again?
A hope chest.
As this is for my big day.
Yeah, it's just
oh wow, that's interesting. I've got to look. I wonder. It might be really similar to a blanket chest. But also, to your point about this piece of furniture, it's like an extinct piece of furniture. So it's
hope is gone.
There's literally no more hope, and no one's getting married, or at least
not in LA.
Not this motherfucker.
Maybe one day
there's still hope for you.
There's love out there for you, boy.
Baby, I hope you find it.
What about you?
That's for another podcast. And so we did a 4-poster bed, which is not extinct, but it's very classic. Everyone, it's a very distinctive American design. Well, it's not even American; it goes before America. But America is all based on old shit, right?
Yeah.
Except for the Lazy Boy, that's a new thing.
Still based on.
It's exact. No, it is. Of course, it's I believe it's just I've never read this, but it's my opinion that the Lazy Boy is a modern iteration of what the rocking chair was.
Soothing.
Yeah, both are. I associate both with women nursing.
Wow.
It's a good shit. You're rocking the baby, and the best Lazy Boys. Different Lazy Boys have different features. I mean, they all kind of recline and give you that ottoman, but my favorite ones rock.
Yeah,
as well.
That's dope.
And it's I've had multiple people reach out wanting Lazy Boys because they're nursing a child.
Wow.
Yeah.
So cool.
I could go on and on about Lazy Boys, but
Yeah.
I won't.
But how did you add your flourishes and then
Yeah.
all those sort of things and then?
Yeah, I mean, it's just Katie and I would talk about this stuff, and you know, we both had like a lot of knowledge about furniture design, and we had similar tastes. Like we wanted to make stuff that was fun. So we came up with not like we. It's not like we felt we needed a tagline for our brand or whatever, but we kind of wanted something like internally that was a kind of, we wanted to be able to encapsulate what we were doing in like a sentence, and both for like talking about it with other people, but also just like for ourselves, like what is it we're doing.
Yeah, it's important to define.
Yeah. And so what we came up with one night was the phrase like LA Door, celebrating the comfort, beauty, and pleasure of traditional American design.
I mean, sign me the fuck up.
Bro, right? This is pre-chat GPT too.
Yo, wait, you using your brain?
Dude, and it was like, so the first word celebrating was sort of key. Like we were, it wasn't about us. It was about celebrating these things.
Yeah.
And celebrating, like party, like this shit should be fun.
Yeah.
So, you could make something out of like white oak, which is kind of like a very popular but pretty boring. I'm not dissing white oak, but it's like it's not a very celebratory wood. Compared to say quilted maple, which was what that corner cabinet was made of, and that's just like a mind blowing.
Where do you buy that shit?
Structure. I buy Certainly Wood. It's so I buy curly maple or quilted maple. I typically, or at least for that, I bought as a veneer as opposed to a solid. Certain times where it just makes more sense to use veneer. Sometimes people associate veneer with like cheap furniture, and that can be the case. But a lot of the most important high-end furniture ever made is veneered, or some sort of combination of veneer and other woods. But we get that from a veneer vendor in Aurora, New York, I believe, called Certainly Wood, which is just like, it's a mom and pop, like the name's amazing.
It's dope.
And they're just like, shout out Certainly Wood. They're the best veneer provider that I'm aware of anywhere. So that's where I get that.
That's very cool. Okay, so then how did you kind of develop or choose or whatever? Like I thought that the LA Door kind of era of Lazy Boys and other furniture like had really distinct like patterns and like a certain vibe. Like what was the genesis of that?
Well, the genesis again is like celebrating old shit, right? Like there's a whole tradition of designers and craftsmen, thousands of these people, right, who developed these forms, and so in terms of the early American stuff, but talking about the postmodern stuff, we were sort of looking at these early American designs with a bit of like a postmodern lens, and that involved often kind of like flattening them out and kind of treating them in a more exuberant way, kind of less stuffy, more fun, making them feel a little bit more modern. And so that was sort of how the forms were coming together.
But so the forms, but like the actual, like if you were like had, what I'm talking about is like, when you cover the Lazy Boy with a certain material, like those materials that you were choosing, like to me were very unique and very tasteful, but like where the hell did they come from? Because I've never seen really anything like that. I can understand like kind of where it was coming from, but not really.
I got to give most of the credit there to Katie. She had a really good sense. First of all, she is a big reason that the Lazy Boys kind of came into existence. So before I met Katie, I was like collecting Lazy Boys off the street and Craigslist and shit, and like being like, "Yo, no one's done anything with the Lazy Boy. I'm gonna do something with the Lazy Boy." And but I could never come up with anything that wasn't like stupid or making it worse. and I just like didn't know what to do with it, so it was just on the back burner. And then I met Katie, and I think the first time I had her over to my shop, I was like showing her these lazy boys, telling me, and I won't say what
Not
happened.
mad at it. Not mad at it.
No, you would have not been mad at it. But she, I was totally lost on what to do, and she's like, "Well, why don't you just recover them and make a new handle?" And I was like, "That sounds like a little too like easy or something." But then, like, the more I thought about it, it's like it's not, again, celebrating these things. It's like, don't try to make it something that it's not.
Right.
Don't try to make it elegant, like.
But you did.
But yeah, I know. But in a workaround way where it was like celebrate the schlubbiness of a lazy boy, the corpulent sort of overflowing, like unathletic looking chair. Celebrate that shit. Like in the way that like it's like, hey, like like take it shopping, get some new clothes, and take it out and have take some drugs and have a fun time. It was more that. So she was the one who was going out and finding these cool fabrics, and she was coming back from this this like crazy place in the valley, fabric store, and coming back with like these chintzy florals and stuff that was really just fun, and very much like like every lazy boy is covered in a leather or fat or like a very like durable fabric that's like
corduroy or some
brown or maroon or like tan or like something that's just like not a color, and so this was sort of the opposite of that, and then we definitely collaborated on the handles and like both brought like ideas to that. So, that was just typical of our collaboration where one of us would have an idea, the other one would add to it, the other one would change the thing. And some things are more her, some things are more me, but it's all us.
That's incredible. So
yeah, it was really amazing. It invigorated me in a way that is just like kind of changed my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you start, so that era goes into the next chapter, and like now you're kind of enmeshed in the art world, less, or it's not so much just about furniture now.
Yeah.
And so you kind of now are an artist, and like talk to us about like how you think your identity changed, and then how like the progression of the work.
Yeah, I think there's a common trajectory that a lot of people in different types of like trades can. Well, I guess I have this conversation with like furniture makers who are trying to be creative furniture makers, wherein like when you're starting out, you're like learning how to be precise, and you're trying to acquire knowledge. You're trying to improve, and that requires this mindset that's very like kind of clinched. You're focusing.
Yeah.
You're fucking trying. You're being careful.
Yes.
You're trying to get it,
and you're making mistakes.
Just right. Well, yeah, of course. You're so many mistakes, but you're very kind of clinched and very intentional, and that's great for getting better at execution, technical execution. But it's good to a degree designing because you're trying to be rigorous. You're like, no, that's not good. That has to be an eighth of an inch thinner. Like, you're keying in on that kind of stuff. But you're a little bit wound up. You're a little tight in that way. And I think that there's a point at which that mindset ceases to serve you. And then it's like this process of like trying to loosen up. You want to make shit that looks loose.
Getting the lazy boy, motherfucker.
You know what I mean? It's like these classically trained painters who could duplicate a Renaissance painting, oil painting.
Yeah, like Picasso at 10 years old.
Yeah. Oh, is that true?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But also like the abstract expressionists, like, or not all of them, but some of them could paint like photorealistically if they wanted to, but they just wanted to like paint a canvas red.
Yeah, I think that ties into this, podcast, the whole theme of like how art is evolving, how artists evolve,
Yeah.
and like where the market is going. And so like I also kind of want to tie this back to how you see like art from a commercial lens, like, and then to like when does the inspiration of like what you're creating now, when does it hit the mainstream markets? Is it 10 years? Is it 20 years? Like when does it get into design within reach? And then like when did like
Well, design within reach is very much not art.
okay, but at what point was it?
Well, I suppose it kind of, that's maybe
What
not
is
a fair
that progression?
statement. I guess I don't understand your question.
I guess what I'm saying is, like, art is being created right now by people like you who are pushing the envelope of what design is.
Yeah.
And how does that tie into the current art market? Like, how does it monetize? But then, at some point, that work becomes, in theory, like the great pieces like transcend the art market and then go into the design market and then like become mass produced and like an Eames chair or something like at one point or like Barcelona chairs or something at one point like this is art,
Yeah.
and then it starts being collected or something like that, and then it evolves into like taste or it evolves into something mass produced.
Yeah, that's a huge. Yeah, I mean, you've got a big brain because you just asked a question that went in all these different directions at the same time, and I guess, take it in the. I'll try to respond in a way that's very just specific to me. And
Yeah,
very
exactly.
specific experience. But okay, so I think you're asking multiple questions. Like there are, like Noguchi, who we were talking about earlier, he was very much a sculptor, but he did make furniture too. So he almost is this, and I don't think it's the furniture is very sculptural, obviously, and he was one of these people.
Was furniture making for him just a way to pay the bills, or he was like really inspired by evolving?
He was a true artist, I don't know what his financial situation was. Like I don't know if he came from a rich family, a poor family, but he was like just a creative genius, right? And some of the furniture that he's made is now like cliche. Like it was amazing at its time, and it still is. But there've been so many knockoffs of it. To your point, like there's a coffee table he makes that is, I believe, produced now by Design Within Reach, and it's very, again, it's cliched. It's like if people were staging an apartment, some basic ass apartment in like Century City, there would be a fake Noguchi coffee table.
Dude, this is so crazy, by the way. Sorry to interrupt you, but how I said, I was living in the East Village and maybe we didn't cross paths. The girl you were dating had an Eve Klein coffee table.
Yeah, surely.
Right?
How do you know that?
Dude, I remember walking into that apartment being like, yo, this bitch has bread.
You came into my apartment?
I must have. I don't even remember hanging out with you. I remember this fucking coffee table from 20 years ago.
Yeah, that piece is not really reproduced. Those are hard to find.
So we did hang. You were like on 12th Street or something.
I'm at East 13th, between 2nd and 3rd, 206. Shout out Shirley.
Shout out Shirley.
Shirley Cook.
Dude, that's crazed.
So wild. I don't have that as a goal. I don't want. As of now, talk to me in 5 years, but
I will.
I don't have that as a goal. I don't really want anything I make to be reproduced in that way. Like I want, like for instance, the show. I've got a show up right now.
So that's not your scorecard
at all. Maybe at one point it would have been. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Early on, when I was just kind of steeped in furniture and not really paying attention to art or thinking of my stuff in the art way. But it's not a goal now. I have a show that's up at Marta Gallery in Los Angeles. It's up from now until October 18th.
Shout out Marta.
Shout out Benjamin Critton and Heidi Korsabong from
Yo.
Marta. They are at the forefront of supporting people like me and presenting work in Los Angeles that is, this is like a cliche thing to say, but it is.
I love a cliche.
Yeah, let's do the cliche. Blurring the boundaries between art and design.
That's so important.
But it's a really cool space. I think they're unique in LA doing it. I mean, there are other people doing it in like a smaller scale way, but they're doing it. They have a beautiful gallery. It's a perfect like scale gallery,
yeah.
And they're really smart. That their heart is in the right place. They're exactly the kind of people you want to be involved with if you're like a sincere person who's kind of trying to like make work that's in this kind of space, this in between space. But I can't say enough good things about them. Their whole kind of orbit is awesome, and everyone I know and respect in the art world in LA loves them.
Wow.
So, shout out.
Big shout out. So, okay, let's talk about that show and like.
Oh yeah, but the reason I brought it up, and it's to your big question, is like everything except for one piece, which is an edition of 3. Everything else is one of a kind.
Wow.
So it's like I could like so in other words, like if I sell a piece and then another person reaches out to the gallery and wants to buy that. But they've already sold it. They're like, well, can you make another? And I could make another, and that would be a sale, and that would be income for me. But I'm like kind of committing to making things that are more like one of a kind. And so it's the opposite of hoping that it goes into design within reach. You know what I mean?
In theory, but like it just takes one magnificent design to like have that tipping point of reproduction.
Yeah, but I'm not after that.
You are.
Like, stop trying to like. You're like, you should get married and have a kid and make a piece of furniture for design.
Yeah.
No, you just want like security for me.
I do.
Thank you.
So I love you. So okay, then that path has led you to this most recent show, and please, like, just take it from the top of like what those pillows were, what those card pieces were, like what those like nipples on the pillows were, everything.
Yeah, wow. I think that Benjamin and Heidi and I first started talking about this show like 10 months ago or something. I'm not sure exactly what it was, when it was, but I had brought to them I had been like dreaming up these objects. There's I think I was like sitting. I design at my kitchen table usually, just like computer paper and a pen.
Yeah,
and I just sketch. And I was listening to this musician who's not loving his last couple albums, but his earlier shit. This artist named Charlie Crockett.
Oh, dude, he's huge.
Yeah, he's getting up there. He's had he started out busking and now he's like having like a real career. And he's great, and he's got a kind of decades of music out there that you can and different people are going to key in on like different like eras of his, but. I was listening to I find it very relaxing to listen to his music, and like usually when I'm like drawing and stuff, I don't want to listen to music, but his music, I just like, it goes really well with bourbon. A lot of them are drinking songs, country music, blues music, and so I was sort of imagining like making something for him, just because he's also got like a super distinctive like style, and. Like he's got an aesthetic that isn't really, it's Western, it's not me, but it's like what I learned with Katie was just to kind of look at the spectrum of Americana and like appreciate all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he's got.
So she really widened your aperture, if you will.
Oh yeah, big time. I mean, I can't say enough. Shout out Katie.
Well, we got to get her on the podcast.
Get her on the pod.
PrimaryMarket.com.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys are. Between you and her, I can't imagine the fucking conversation. You guys are both so awesome. So I was imagining making. He's a guitarist, and I was imagining making but his whole vibe, his whole like both real but also kind of this constructed persona that he has is like. He's like, like the classic Western movies, like the man who came into town out of nowhere. He's like very like itinerant and like, isn't going to put down roots. And I think he's married now, so he's probably
softening.
Yeah, exactly. But I think, so it didn't make sense to design like a couch for him because like, he's for what, so I was like, oh, maybe I make something for his tour bus.
Whoa, that would be cool.
Like
a captain's chair
like,
for the tour bus.
Yeah, of course I'm like DMing him and getting nothing back because like he's too big to,
Sorry.
Yeah. But I was like, what?
I'm sure his agent lives around here or something.
Yeah, I know. Well, I think he's repped by CIA now.
Oh.
So just down the road. But
yeah,
I was
right here.
What's that?
Yeah, right here.
We can get him on the pod.
Let's get him on the pod. Charlie, buddy.
So I was like, all right, I'll make him a hook for his guitar. You got to put your guitar down at the end of the day. So it was like this little wall-mounted hook, and it was upholstered to kind of protect the guitar.
Yeah.
And it was like these two outstretched pegs that would, that you could like place the neck of the guitar and it would hang. And I took that to Benjamin and Heidi, and I was like, this is what I want to do. And we were interested enough in the object that they were like, okay, like let's do a show.
Wow.
And then it just like evolved. I had been wanting to make like upholstered sculptures. I had been wanting to make like a lot of wall hung stuff, and so I kind of combined that, and the references like abound. Like I made a dozen of them for this show, and they each have like a very specific combination of textile and wood choice.
Yes.
So what I'm wrapping the pillow with will be like a very specific textile, and then the choice of the wooden peg to put in there is like also a very specific choice of wood that is traditional to or sort of has an association to that fabric, whether it's because it comes from a classic piece of furniture that combined those two elements or some other thing that's like not even necessarily furniture related.
Wow.
It kind of like spans, so there's 12 of these pieces, and the references for each individual one, which are one of a kind, span American design histories from like a very broad, from like the 1700s to the 1980s.
Wow. Yeah, and what's so interesting that like I was feeling when I was at the gallery was, here we are like in a very hip part of Los Angeles. What neighborhood is that?
That's Los Feliz.
Los Feliz.
Yep.
And like, 10 years ago, like during like kind of the height of like normcore and like absolute minimalism.
Yeah.
Like here we are, the pendulum has swung almost to this like
shit's super
maximalist.
exuberant.
Yeah. Like the patterns were there, the colors were there. Like how do you think that ties into cultural trends, the street trends, and then the art market? Babe.
I was invited to this like design dinner last week by my
So
friend.
it's not even considered. Oh, wow.
It's just for it to be fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm not like influenced by the zeitgeist.
Yeah. Baby, the wind is blowing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not I'm not like I'm part of that.
Right, it's not happening
whether
in
I
a
want
vacuum.
to or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not in a vacuum. I'm not, but like I'm not like I don't feel like I'm
You're not
responding to
reactioning
anything
to-
contemporary. I feel like I'm responding to a settee built in 1795.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like I'm responding to kind of our collective memory
Yeah.
of furniture.
But it's still resonating with all those hip people.
Yeah, but I think it's resonating with them. What I'm doing.
Well, you should have seen this fucking crowd. Let me tell you something.
The floor is yours. What were they like?
No. Okay. I thought I was really inspired by the clothes that everyone was wearing. I was
Okay.
really inspired by the vibe.
Uh-huh.
Like everyone's drinking like a fucking new wave soda or not even a soda.
You're so basic.
I
don't know what it was.
But I'm just saying, like, I'm over here on the west side of LA. I'm coming from Texas, so
Right.
what people were wearing and how they were vibing was refreshing to me.
Okay.
I really liked it. I was like, I also liked that those people who, in my opinion, are like on the cutting edge of culture are vibing with what you're creating.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I feel fortunate. I feel like it's connecting. So like the way that I or one of like the ways that I judge whether or not something I made was like successful is if someone who's looking at it can have a conversation about it,
Mhm.
right? If it sparks memories or makes them feel like multiple different ways. Maybe like it makes them like trying to make people like happy, I think, or trying to make myself happy when I'm making it, and or like something that's like comforting or something that just has multiple associations at once, so people looking at it can go in a couple different ways with it.
That's a really big. I think you hit the nail on the head with what you made for that stuff to do that.
Well, what tells me I think I did pretty well with it is because I have been having these conversations with. It's funny that every conversation that I have with someone's a little bit different, but there are also common themes with them. So it's I want to communicate. I just want to I kind of feel like I'm communicating with the people in the past whom I'm referencing, and because I want to communicate with people who are contemporary with me, not even like my design peers, like you, literally anybody.
Yeah,
I want to connect to.
That's what
people,
makes great art.
I want to connect to people who live in places in the country that are not like. I want to connect to people who aren't necessarily like educated in design. Who is I want to be able this stuff to connect with like a farmer or like anybody, literally every American.
Yes.
White.
But you don't want to be in design within reach.
Yeah, because I don't think that shit. I think that shit's kind of cold. It's like, their genesis is like a Noguchi. That becomes product and that becomes taste, which I think is stale.
Okay.
And safe.
Okay.
And sanctioned, and gate kept.
Yeah.
And
this is the nugget I wanted you to. Explain that a little bit more.
Well, it's product.
Isn't that the progression of what's being made now?
It is a progression. It's not something I think about.
Until now.
Until
Primary Market Podcast. Sponsored by Topper's Turf.
Design Within Reach.
Sponsored by Design Within Reach.
This shit is so good, man. You're killing it. You are killing it. Have you marketed turf on surfaces other than floors?
Like a turf board. Like I want to make a surfboard made with turf and go surf on it.
Hell yeah.
But
what else?
Anything, a turfed out car would be funny to drive around. So many things. But back to your show. Describe to our listeners a little bit about each of the pieces. Like I was really moved by the towel rack, for lack of a better word.
Yeah,
I was really moved. That was, I think, my favorite piece. I really loved the bent chair, the bent back chair. So just if you wouldn't mind, like telling me or our listeners a little bit about both of those pieces.
yeah. The bow one has a good narrative. So I made this wall hung towel rack that has a decorative bow on it, and it is the second time I've done this. I made another bow I was making uh, for the past few years, and also showed it with Marta Gallery.
Wow.
Yeah. And the idea of this was, okay, I've got this amazing friend, and she has kind of carved out a niche for herself as somebody who finds really cool stuff at estate sales and thrift stores and online and, all these little nooks and crannies. And she's got awesome taste, and it's this really like diverse taste. It's like weird 80s goth stuff mixed with like Italo disco gay stuff mixed with like home sweet like homey like amateur crafted
Wow. Is she on Instagram?
Yeah, Montevision, MONTVISION.
I will
Her
definitely
name's
follow.
Bianca Stillwell.
Wow.
Worth a follow.
Yeah.
And she sells stuff really cool, one of a kind, not cookie cutter stuff that is relatively affordable. We're talking anywhere from $30 to, 2,000 maybe, So some of the stuff's an investment, but some of the stuff's super attainable. And she's a fun follow. She posts cool inspo stuff, but then she also posts stuff that she's selling, and she's funny, and
Wow.
it's a great account. And she found this bow I believe in a thrift store in Yucca Valley, which for non-Angelinos, that's near Joshua Tree National Park. She lives out there, or used to live out there. And she posted it on her stories, and I saw it and like immediately messaged her and like, I want that. And I think she charged me like $20 for it. And I had it in my home, and it's a wooden bow about that big that mounts on the wall at like eye level and projects off the wall via this like bracket, and it almost is like floating in space. And it's just like the shape of it is just like so beautiful. Like I love it. Everyone who like comes over to the house is like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And I was like using it functionally. I was hanging my tote bag on it for a while, like my shabby, dirty tote bag. And I was like, this is like, why am I hanging this is so beautiful. I don't like hanging like my gross tote bag on it because then I can't really enjoy looking at it. So I started treating it more as like a work of art. But the fact that the fact that it's kind of like it welcomes you home and it's like, hey, I'll hold your tote bag for you.
Yes.
It almost has like you can personify it into this thing that lives with you and cares about you and wants to help out. It's very like sweet. And it's very like undeniably sweet looking.
Beyond.
And it's just very like
And it
makes
feels
a house a home.
Yeah, it feels like it belongs in the era of which like we were born, like the early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
But also like the wood is very accessible type of wood.
Yeah, that's
Like-
exactly right.
So
Type of wood you can get at the hardware store
Yeah.
or something. Yeah, that's true. And it was very much in my head. So this is something it's not signed. It wasn't produced by a company. It's either one of a kind,
Mm-hmm.
or it was, the plans for it were in some like, 80s, 90s craft magazine,
Yo,
with like a really low circulation.
remember when geese were a thing, like in pigeons?
Yes. Geese, like duck.
Yeah, like it belongs like with a goose.
It belongs with a goose. I couldn't have said it better myself. I'm going to get Ben and Heidi to put that in their next essay.
Heard it here first.
You don't lift that shit. Give credit where credit is due, Ben.
For real.
Okay, so yeah, very much from that era, and so it's this style of amateur woodworking that is dying,
Mm-hmm.
and I reproduce them faithfully. Like I probably make them a little more polished, a little nicer.
Yeah.
But I'm
Just to show
literally
off a little
taking. No, not to show off. I'll
Oh.
tell you exactly why I do it.
Okay.
I do it so that it's a celebration of the thing, right? So I
elevate it.
they're already perfect, right? But they're old.
Yeah.
And because they're old, they're like, and because they were made by like, what I'm imagining was an amateur, they're kind of like, well, not that this is necessarily indicative of an amateur, but they've got like stray chisel marks on them and things that you probably would have sanded out and stuff like that. But I'm not going to like make fake stray chisel marks and try to make
That's
something
too much.
old. But what I do want to do is just really fucking make them perfect so that they kind of sing and they're their best self.
And it does.
I think it does too, and it's mostly a credit to the thing. But it's a style of amateur woodworking that's dying in this country, both because people are less handy with tools now. Like your average American was much more likely to have a table saw in their garage, in the '80s than they are today, right? So it's a knowledge base that's dying out, and it's an aesthetic that I can see it coming back in like the current zeitgeist with but like with like an irony or a sort of shallow kitsch kind of sensibility. This is super earnest what I'm trying to do. And
That's incredible.
And I think that comes across. You get out of shit and you communicate what you put in. Yeah. And I put in like a lot of heart into it.
Yeah.
And a lot of like I bring my experience to bear on it, and like you said you were moved. I mean, I was moved by the original. I'm literally just trying to share that feeling as effectively as possible, and that's the only reason that whereas everything else in the that show is one of a kind, I decided that this one had to at least be a limited edition because it needs the ideas I want as many people as possible to have it. I think if I reproduce them infinitely, then it kind of might devalue it a little bit. And we got to make some money. And I do want to treat it as like a special thing. Yeah. It's like this balance of like making it limited, like to recognize that it's special, but also like you want to share. You want it to be out there. So,
so by you taking such an earnest approach to this aesthetic, you're also showing like this you're showing the world that like this style like should be looked at again, where it's been kind of looked down upon for the past maybe 40 years. 30, 40 years.
I couldn't agree more. It's the same idea of the lazy boy. Like the lazy boy is, it depends who you talk to. There's some people like, oh yeah, I grew up with lazy boys. Like, I love them. Mm-hmm. For some people, they're aspirational. You can pay for them on a payment plan, and it's like people like want to own one and like look forward to the day that they can afford one, and they enjoy them, and they're fucking great products. They last forever. And you talk to other kinds of people, and they're like, that's trash. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's like, you're never, unless it's LA Door, unless Katie and I made it, you're never going to see, I'll never say never, but you're never going to see them in like a elevated interior in Architectural Digest or something, mm-hmm. right? And to your point, that the bow is the same thing, where it's like, I find them in thrift stores because no one wants them, because grandma died and the kids are cleaning out her apartment, and they see that as like grandma's junk. It's crap.
Dude, this is so enthralling. This is the stuff that I love. This is the point of this podcast.
Hell yeah.
It's finding that.
You're so cool too, because I did another podcast that I thought was just awesome, and I'm really grateful to have done it with Christopher Schreck, who has a podcast that he does in collaboration with Marta called Motion and Field.
Awesome.
He's a great artist and multi medium artist. He's not necessarily a furniture guy, but he's curious about design and informed, and he asked great questions, and it was awesome. But you coming at it from a bit of like an outsider's perspective is really meaningful to me, because you're not just able to have this conversation because 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 you've studied the concepts and like you understand it intellectually. Like I mean, not that you don't, but like it's like you're coming at it from, I think, a little bit more of like a heart place, and while at the same time asking very, I mean, don't get me wrong, you're like bringing up Memphis in relation to like, how I was looking at the early American stuff, and you understand things and you're aware of stuff, but you're not. So many people are so like specific to the art world, and it's just like people in their own kind of silo having their own conversation. The fact that like you are, I don't know, I really like talking to you because you're so I don't know, like from the heart of this stuff.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the markets. That's the whole point of the
Yeah.
podcast, but also I'm enthralled by the creation of contemporary art and like where it's going and where it's been.
Yeah.
So thank you.
I wish I could have like verbalized that was meant to be a compliment. I hope that was obvious.
Yeah, no,
and
I'm
I
so
and I feel
honored.
like
Thank you.
I could have like verbalized it better because it's really cool.
Thank you so much. I love talking to you too.
Yeah.
So, all right. So now we've covered the bow. Now can we move on to the chair thingy?
Yeah, the chair thingy. So for those of you, all this stuff's on my Instagram. My Instagram is pretty curated. It's really good photography.
Really good photography.
Amazing photography.
Like I was trying to shoot that stuff on my iPhone. It looks
like shit. Everybody's it's like after an opening, you post. There's this like thing that artists do. It's like and the galleries do. It's like because everybody's like taking pictures and like Instagramming at the opening, and then like the day after, like you're supposed to repost everybody's pictures, and it's it's like a little bit of like a marketing and sharing kind of thing. It's legit, but like the pictures that everybody takes, just in the low lit opening with their phone, like dim,
Yes.
people everywhere. Like the pictures are all There's some that are good that I reposted, but like I kind of don't even want to put them out there almost because the photos that Eric Benjamins takes of the work, he's like a professional art photographer. They're amazing. They show everything in their absolute best light, and I'm grateful for Heidi and Benjamin for kind of paying him to do that. So anyway, point being, I'm going to describe this stuff, but you can go on my Instagram. I don't muddy it up with personal pictures. It's very much just like a portfolio, scroll through. Everything's very legible, and there's hopefully helpful commentary in the descriptions. But this piece that Topper's talking about is the second in a series of sculptures that thinking about making like a third, like a triptych, to just sort of like put a bow on it.
Yeah.
And
I see what you did there.
Anyway, back in the LA Door days, we were trying to pick like iconic things to riff on, and like the rocking chair is obviously like a very specific form, and pretty much not completely extinct, but endangered species. And so
and not cheap, by the way. Like
no,
a good rocking chair, it's not cheap.
Not only are they're not cheap, they take up a lot of space because A, they're big, but B, they have to be able to move back and forth. And so like you need a lot of you ain't putting a rocking chair in a one bedroom apartment.
Word.
Yeah, I was just like breaking down rocking chairs, right? Like looking at rocking chairs, but early American, Danish modern, just kind of looking at all of them and keying in on like which one or ones I wanted to reference in my own, and I kind of keyed in on the shaker rockers, and I started out by looking at just like all the individual elements. So in terms of the back of the chair, at the top you've got the finials, which are usually turned into some sort of pointy shape. And then they become the I call them the posts, which are like it is both the backrest that has the back slats, and then it also goes down into the seat, and it's where all the rungs attach, and then it terminates at the bottom on the rocker. So that post will have a specific shape. The backrests will have a specific shape, and the rocker will have a specific shape. And so I was just sort of picking and choosing my favorite backrests and finials and rockers and posts from all these different
You're looking at old books or
shaker
something?
chairs, online books. Yeah, the library is underrated. Get to the library, y'all.
Yeah, the old,
Yeah. Instagram, everything. You kind of use whatever's around. And yeah, so I started with the back because that's where most of the choices were being made. The front is usually just pretty straightforward: turned legs, turned rungs, kind of call it a day. Some have arms, some don't. I was kind of ignoring the arms, or just hadn't got there yet. But so I'd drawn like the back end of this rocker, and I was like, wow, like this is like the most beautiful part of the chair. Like if I just showed you the back of this chair, you'd know exactly what this is.
Right.
It's a shaker rocking chair. Not everybody, obviously, but a lot of people would know that. And it kind of felt done. Like the drawing was like, that's kind of cool just on its own. And so I made that as a sculpture. Or I just made it. I wasn't like, this is a sculpture. I wasn't like...
but it was. Don't deny it.
No, like it is. I can say that now. But again, at the time, I'm literally just trying to amuse myself.
Yeah. That's where inspiration comes from.
In part,
Sometimes.
yeah, for sure. And so, anyway, LA Door was still alive and fairly well, alive and well. It was alive at this time, and we were, it was very much alive. And Benjamin and Heidi wanted to do a show with us, and Katie and I had laid out all of our sketches for Ben and Heidi to look at. Dozens of sketches, dozens of different pieces, and they came over to the studio to kind of look at stuff and be like, okay, we think you should do that, and that, and and then we have a conversation, and that's what a big part of their job is. Obviously, like they're curators.
Yep.
So, and it's super helpful because like we're just like vomiting up all these designs, and we have our favorites or whatever, and often we're aligned with Ben and Heidi, but they can they're looking at it from the outside, and they're able to see like, it's not even like they're not even saying like this is what we like. They're like, this is a good direction for Doug, or a good direction for Doug and Katie. They're almost they're advisors in a way, and they're great because like you can push back on them if you really believe something differently from them. But more often than not, almost more than 90% of the time, their input is I trust it.
Yeah, it's like a producer almost. Making
music. That's a good way of putting it.
You're a proverbial Rick Rubin.
Totally, that's what they did. And so they keyed in on that drawing of that like rocker that didn't have a seat, and they were like definitely do that. The stuff that I'm always like, oh, I really like this thing, but I don't think like the world will necessarily like it. They kind of always like key in on that.
Wow.
Shit. And I think it's like it's so cool because it's like. I love that they key in on that stuff because I feel like some people wouldn't.
It really validates you, though. Also,
it's that. Yes, but I think like they're like other galleries might go in like a safer direction and be like, oh, like chair sell, do this chair design.
Yeah.
Whereas they're like, no, like this is something that has like a spirit to it, or something, and it's different.
That's
like we're not. No one else is going to do this. So. So I showed that with them last year at a group show that they had called The Rites of Spring, and I showed that, and I showed the first bow. So for this show that I did with them, which was like a solo show, I made 20 pieces.
Wow.
It was quite the endeavor. But the idea was, I'm going to do another bow, because I had this other bow that you saw in the show that was just fucking awesome. And then I'm going to do the next installment of this like weird like shaker rocker homage. And it doesn't have many parts. It only has, everything in the show is more complicated to make, more like sophisticated than it looks. So the idea, I don't want to show that sophistication. you need it in order to create the object and to create like the feeling and to create like coherence among the pieces in the show.
Mm-hmm.
But I want everything to feel very like simple, you know, to just have like a simple kind of like emotional or a visceral kind of feeling to it. But I'm not using these like methods to like showcase impressive woodworking or anything like that.
That just comes naturally.
Listen,
It does,
again, to all the furniture heads out there, I have no illusions that
you're nice with it.
I'm pretty nice with it, but I always surround myself with people who know more than me, in whatever way they do. And it's just like you can't help but be humble when you're in the trades because there's just an ocean of shit to learn. Some people have forgotten more than I know, and it's what makes it. It's why it can be a lifetime pursuit because. The phrase master craftsman, I don't think anybody gets there till they're in their 60s.
Wow. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it truly is. I love it. But most people aren't doing this stuff. Like for example, the posts in the rocker were made by bent lamination. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to turn the posts and then steam bending.
Okay.
And I was not having a lot of success steam bending.
Because it was such a big bend?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a serious bend.
Yeah. There are more serious bends out there to be sure, but it's hard to do with like commercially available wood because commercially available wood is all kiln dried, and that makes the wood stable and hard, and it cooks any kind of like bugs that could be in the wood right out of there. But it also bakes out the characteristics of the wood that make it pliable. So it can be bent, but it's challenging. And I was doing lots of experiments and failing, and I was getting advice from people who have done it well, and I was not able to do it well. I wanted to get better at bending. Among other things, I want to get better at bending, so I ended up going out to Maine while I was making the show, and I took a week-long class taught by this...
Same place, Rockport?
No, in Maine, but it's a class taught by Andy Glenn.
Okay.
Who is just amazing. He's an author. He specializes in Appalachian chair making.
Whoa.
Which is just a world I knew nothing about,
Not to be confused with Adirondack chair making. Thank you, Alibaba.
Oh my God. Okay, Andy Glenn.
Speaking of off-gassing.
Yeah. I know, it's like my hands are melted right now. Andy Glenn is an Ohioan who moved to Maine, I want to say like 5 years ago or something like that. And he got really fascinated with Appalachian chair building, both from the perspective of being a woodworker himself, but also being a furniture designer himself, and just being interested in kind of the regional design and craftsmanship of that area. And he ended up writing a book called Backwoods Chairmakers, which I recommend you buy. You can get it from Lost Art Press or through Andy's website, andydglenn.com. And the dude's just like, I like really do kind of treasure sincerity, and this guy's as sincere as it gets. There's no ego or very little ego. How much ego, Andy? 1% ego, maybe.
Gotta have a little something. Get out of bed.
The fire's got to come from somewhere.
Jesus.
He's the type of guy. Andy is I'd say pretty like devoted Christian, but you'd never know it necessarily because it's not something he brings up. But when you find out that he is, you're like, he's just fucking walking the walk.
Wow.
It's really cool.
Joseph, Jesus' dad was a woodworker, wasn't he?
Jesus was
a woodworker.
God was not a woodworker.
No, but his stepdad. Jesus' stepdad.
Who was that?
Joseph was Mary's husband.
Oh, right. Was he a carpenter too?
Carpenter.
There you go. That's how most
La
people
la la
learn.
Jose, if you know what they say.
Okay. So Andy's an author. He's a designer. He's a craftsperson, and he's a teacher. So
Wow.
he's harnessed all this experience he has. He's not old. He's what are you? Early 40s? I think we're around the same age. And he'll travel to do classes at other schools, but he runs classes at his personal workshop in his house in Maine. And small, I think, so I did a week long there. It was me and like 4 other students. It was so cool. And it just opened my eyes to a different style of woodworking. And wait, why am I bringing up Andy? What is this in relation to?
Pause. I gotta pee real bad. 1 second. Make sure we're still recording.
So, I've been recording the whole time.
That would be fucking crazy. I started to get worried about it.
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my god, I needed to piss so bad.
You got it all out?
I got it all out. Every last drop. I'll check my phone too. Okay.
I just remembered. Okay, I just remembered why I brought up Andy Glenn, because we were talking about that bent wood
Yes.
shaker thing in the show. Again, on the Instagram feed at Doug McCollough.
I'll put it in the in the link in the bio on YouTube.
So part of the reason I wanted to take this class with Andy is because he teaches steam bending. And so I learned how to do it his style, but one of the keys for him is that he gets green wood, meaning the wood hasn't been kiln dried. Therefore,
So fresh cuts. Does he get it in Maine?
yeah, he gets it from different sources, and you would think that it would be easy to come by.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you can't get it at the lumberyard, like
Go cut it down.
trees everywhere, go cut it down. But it's super. It's not just you need any kind of wood that's green. You need. He favors red oak, which is a porous, open grain hardwood.
Do you know where that grows?
That grows all over the east.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and probably other places too. But I'm not well versed enough in like forestry to know like where everything is coming. I know a little bit, but I don't know a lot. Definitely grows in Maine, and so it's and not only that, the wood. And oftentimes when you're getting wood, like you go for wood that has a lot of character, like that quilted maple I was talking about has beautiful, kind of dramatic grain that's nice to look at. Andy is searching for grain that is almost boringly straight, because that is the stuff that bends well. And by the time he's done with it, it's anything but boring. But so anyway, I took that class, came back west. My buddy Noah Cohen, shout out Noah Cohen, great furniture designer and craftsman here in Los Angeles. I went up. He's from Santa Cruz. I went up there and found some green wood and some air dried wood that is kind of bendable, but I still fucked up, and it was my fault. I won't get into the weeds with it, but
So it didn't bend the way you wanted it to.
I fucked up the process. I made the perfect jig as taught to me by Andy Glenn, and I left out one critical part of the process while I was bending it, and it cracked because I didn't. It was so stupid.
Yeah.
I put in so much time and resources into doing this one.
You almost have to have like a checklist.
Yeah. It's like, nothing makes itself, and one false move can totally fuck something up.
So frustrating.
So that happened again, and it was such an avoidable mistake. And yeah. So, but I was getting down to the wire with the show, and I had to make something happen. So the cool thing about woodworking is that there's always different ways to achieve something. And so I pivoted away from steam bending, and I did something called a bent lamination. So basically, I used the same wood as I used for the bow, red oak, and I milled up 22. Each post is comprised of 22 pieces of wood. 22 16th inch thick pieces of wood adds up, I think, to 1.25 inches.
Dude.
Yeah.
This is epic. How did you mill those suckers? With a razor blade?
No. No. I'm glad you asked, because, I prize community with woodworking, because you always need help.
Yeah.
You always have how the fuck do I solve this problem? And it's and I always am this person's
Get
going to
that
know
Reddit thread.
It's I have a local Reddit thread of people in cities that I've lived in and on Instagram.
Yeah.
And locally, this guy, Noah Cohen, he's got some of the best. I love he's got great taste in machinery. And he has this thing called a thickness. So normally, okay. Once you're getting wood that thin, you kind of you could run it through the table saw, but it's not going to give you the cleanest face. You want clean faces because you have all these seams, and you don't want to have divisions, and you're visible. You want them to be as invisible as possible. Like butter. The other thing you would use to mill wood is a thickness planer, but once you get to that level of thinness, they the machine's not really meant to.
So you're not even planing it either.
Well, I'm starting it. So here's the deal. I start with the board of wood.
Yep.
And
What kind of one more time?
Red oak.
Red oak is. Yes. And the red oak is green?
No, it's kiln dried from the lumberyard.
Okay. We're past the green bending now.
Green's out because I can't. Yeah, because I've just had too many failures with it. I know how to do bent laminations, and the show's coming up, and I got to get this thing done. So it wasn't the ideal way to go for me, but it was a way where I could get what I wanted as an end result. And so
amazing part of the artist process, by the way.
Well, it's super, this is where craft comes into play, and it's I think the only you can't. Chops are chops, right?
Amen.
You can't
chops are
fucking,
chops.
Chops are chops. You can't fucking
chop suey.
Paint a masterpiece, or I'm not calling this a masterpiece. You can't write a symphony. You got to learn how to play the fucking piano.
Yeah.
And designers, not as a rule, but as a rule of thumb, I think designers who don't have a background in the craft piece design shit that I think lacks idiosyncrasy or personality or heart sometimes. There was. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah,
not because
God is in the details. And when those details are overlooked or can't be hit, when those notes can't be hit, oftentimes that's where the soul is missing, or that's where.
I think that's true. And a lot of times those things are accidents that you can only be stumbled upon in the workshop. Because, a straight-up designer with no craft background resolves their idea on paper before they hand it off to somebody,
Yep.
right? Like, and I might be oversimplifying it. I don't want to like shit talk designers,
No,
but
sure,
I'm just
we're just
this
chopping
is
it
like
up.
this is just like a comparison to be made and something I
And you
found
should
to
take
be-
some goddamn pride in all the work you've done to create your chops.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm inspired by people who are like legit, sincere people.
Yeah.
So I'm not
Amen.
trying to fake anything. But anyway, but like you know, you might design something that you feel is good, and you've designed it on the page and it's done. But then when you have to translate that drawing into an object, you run into technical problems, you make mistakes,
Yep.
and you have to react to all
And the
these
process
things in
difference,
real
like
time.
how you envisioned doing it was completely different with how you
Yeah.
ended up like
Exactly.
manifesting.
And it's that relationship between the design and the build that like yields the thing.
Yeah.
And if you're only one or only the other, it's just you don't get that kind of alchemy going.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so I was able to mill those pieces down very, very, very cleanly to that 16th inch thickness because my buddy Noah Cohen has this great, he's got a great planer. He's got a great bandsaw. So I take the lumber and I send it through the bandsaw and I get it down to about 3/16 of an inch.
Okay.
Thick,
Yeah.
Right? So now I got a stack of 44 because there's 2 legs. Plus you want to make a little extra. So I got around like 52 16th inch thick pieces of red oak.
Yeah. So thin.
And then I take them from the bandsaw where they're 3/16.
And how bendable are they at that?
Bendable, but not bendable enough for the curve I wanted to do.
Wow.
You know, each individual one was, but once you stack them all up together, it wasn't quite getting there.
Yep.
And so then I take him over to his thickness planer. He's got a great thickness planer. I don't have a thickness planer because I work in a 210 square foot garage, but I'm going to get a mini one soon. But I can't have everything I want right now. So then I send it through the thickness planer and I get it down to like just over 1/16 of an inch. A thickness planer doesn't really want to mill it down to that 16th. I mean, you can, but it's a little dicey. You can get a lot of tear. You can kind of destroy the wood.
Wow.
So then I take it over. He's got this thing called I think you just call it a drum sander or thickness sander.
Oh, I would not have pictured that.
Yeah, so
That was the
essentially
missing link.
it's imagine a conveyor belt, and over the conveyor belt is a steel drum, like a steel cylinder, and wrapped around that cylinder is sandpaper.
Yes.
And so you get that, you put your wood on the conveyor belt, it goes in, you can raise and lower that cylinder based
Dude.
on the thickness that you want.
Epic.
And he, along with his friend and fellow machine restorer, Roy Thurston, together kind of tuned up this machine. And
So it was an
runs.
old machine.
Most of Noah's tools are from the 40s to the 80s.
So I need photos. I need to see it in person.
You come by the
So
shop. He's got
I'd love
probably he's got a sick shop. Andy Glenn's got an amazing shop.
Yo.
He's got probably my favorite shop in LA.
I gotta do a Tim Allen.
Tim Allen.
Tim the Tool Man Taylor.
Don't fully get that reference. I think I was more keyed in on Pamela Anderson.
Oh no! So there was a show called Home Improvement.
No. But she was in it for a bit.
Oh, yo, that's right. Yo,
She rocking the flannel and just.
Yeah, you're right.
When I was in 7th grade, my sisters came home from the mall with my mom, and they had like bought me a Pamela Anderson poster.
Yo.
And I was like, this is a little bit weird that you guys are getting me this. I'm definitely putting it on this like the ceiling over my bed and like jerking off to it for the next 4 years.
Hell yeah.
Again, very weird that you guys got this for me, but like, what am I gonna do? Not.
Amazing. I loved Elle McPherson, Pam Anderson in that era. Carmen Electra was the thing. Oh no, that was a little later than like 7th grade. She was. We were like that was like high school chick. I loved Carmen Electra.
Yeah, I still love me some Pam. She was in the new Naked Gun.
She's smoking and hilarious.
She's so good. Go see the Naked Gun if you haven't.
For
yet.
real.
the first half anyway.
I like her vibe, like the no makeup vibe. Like I love her whole steez now.
I love her. Also, big animal lover. She runs like a dog rescue or something.
Nice.
Respect.
Hmm?
It'd be so easy for someone like that to just go off the rails.
I know.
I mean,
yeah, Hollywood will do that to you, especially like being so
especially
hot.
to like a woman like that, like the sex symbol. You know,
I was like the first person to buy the sex tape, Van Anderson, Tommy Lee
that
sex tape.
come out when we were in high school together.
Yeah. That was the bomb. Used to get high and watch that. All right, so thank you very much for coming on the podcast. Do you have anything else that you would like to tell, like the art community or the listeners out there, about your artistic journey, and anything else that you want to share?
I guess all I would say is what I've learned is always surround yourself with people who know more than you. Absorb as much as you can. Don't make stuff for anyone other than yourself, unless you're making it as like a love letter to them. Good luck.
Well,
Shit's hard.
that's awesome. All right, well, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was mad fun to talk.
That was awesome, man.
It was so dope. Okay, let's see if we got it recorded.